I want to tell a story about a travel experience. I've mentioned it before, but I want to talk about it because one of the ladies from this travel experience has gone to the upper room, and I just want to remember her and celebrate this fun moment that we had. Okay? Well, these little ladies are friends of my mother's, and we would go to the country club to brunches and things like that. And it was approaching my 50th birthday. So I wanted to do something big, and my mother wanted to have a big party, but she was a little bit behind in the planning for it. So we were talking with one of the ladies who planned this trip to Paris, and she realized my birthday would coincide with the trip, and she asked me and my mother to come to Paris with her and some of her friends. Well, my mother, she said no, it wasn't something she would do. But she told me to go. She said, "You should go, Jen. It would be fun for your birthday." And I was thinking, wow, this is great. What an amazing opportunity to celebrate a birthday in Paris with a group of my mom's friends, okay? And did I mention that these friends were white women? And I would be the only black woman on this trip. Not that it should matter, but I just thought I'd state the obvious right now. So we got to Paris, and we stayed in a hotel that was in the city, but we landed at the airport, which was kind of far out. And we got there at an odd hour, and the Ubers were not working, and there was some issue with Uber and taxi, so we had to wait around a little bit. And the other women were getting a little antsy, and we just all made a decision to get on the public transportation. Can you imagine? I'm all for it because I ride public transportation in many cities that I travel. I have no problem with it. In fact, I really like public transportation. It gives me the most, I would think, immersive experience. And I like that in my travel experiences. But I'm talking about little ladies that go to the country club. They're going to get on the subway. Well, one of the ladies in the group, she was a real spunky one, and she traveled lightly like me. That's how I travel. And she, you could tell, just avid traveler, and so much so that she could pack one bag, and she wore dresses that she could wash out and roll them and dry them in no time. So I was really vibing with her. So we got on the subway. Now these ladies, they traveled with their luxurious big bags, and they weren't thinking they would be taking a subway. So I had to go into mode, and I know the optics were really off, okay? Here I am, a black woman, and I had to get these suit, not that I had to, but I jumped into my other hat, which is nurse. I'm always a nurse, and I'm looking out for the little older ladies. These are my mother's friends, okay? So the race thing had nothing to do with it, but I know the optics look crazy. So here I am chucking their big luggage onto the subway, and I'm directing this whole operation. Hurry up, get on, find a seat, hold on. And I'm letting them know how to deal with the subway. And let me tell you, if you haven't been thrown shade from the French in France, you haven't lived, because the dirty looks that we received. I felt the vibes in the train, and they weren't friendly. These are people trying to go to work in the morning, and here we are with these huge bags. Well, not me and the other chick, but these ladies, they're traveling like, they have people that they could pay to do all these things, right? So I have to go into nurse mode, and that's what happened. I became the caretaker, and it was quite a funny, just everything. Okay, so this is how it starts off. So we get to the airport. Oh, getting off the train. Okay, hurry up, get out, ladies, get on the platform. So I'm trying to get them off. It was like wrangling a bunch of cats, if you can imagine. And I take their big bags and get them off, and you can see the looks on the train. They're like, yeah, glad you're off. And I have to mention that the little ladies, they're little Southern belles. So they've got the Southern accent going. It sounds like Gone with the Wind in every way. And yeah, I have to say the optics were way off, okay? And for me, I was into the whole, like at the time, the culture in America, very racially divisive stuff going on. So I'm fighting that stuff, and I'm over it at the other, I'm post race. I really am. But I did get caught up in the whole, listen, I was over there wearing the Colin Kaepernick number 7 jersey. I went to one of my homecomings at Spelman, and here I am in the Colin Kaepernick. I was really, socially active, I guess, t-shirts and stuff. That's all sloganry. But anyway, I got caught up in the racial stuff. And that's part of what I want to express in this story time, is that I was caught up in that stuff because it was so strong and influential around the Obama years. Even though I didn't vote for him, I fell into the culture. It was the culture, and just very racially divisive. So I'm fighting these things. And for me, it's ridiculous. I've got people in my family that are passing for white. My great-grandmother passed for white. Other Washingtons, lots of Washingtons passing for white out there. If I put my mother in a group of little old white ladies, I have to squint when I'm looking for her. When I take her to TJ Maxx, I've got to really look, So, come on. I'm really post-race. I'm over it. But I digress. I just wanted to say that, I was very racially aware. So anyway, the rest of my trip, once we got to the hotel, checked in, the one lady who planned the trip, she planned it so well. She had, a little pamphlet packet that we had museums, tickets all in this packet. She got a real good deal at the hotel as well, because every day we could eat an evening meal up on the floor where they have their banquet stuff, and we could eat a breakfast for free. It was all included. So we had a nice breakfast, and their breakfast is, my goodness, amazing. Then in the evening, we could eat an evening meal, and they thought it was, I guess, appetizers, but it was like a full meal. Very nice, and wine just flowing. But one thing I noticed, these ladies, they could drink some wine, but the wine didn't get you drunk over there. You know what I'm saying? It was just a nice thing to just drink the wine. We're looking out at the city every evening, and we didn't have to go to restaurants, but of course we did. The planner, she planned some really nice restaurants, out of the way places, really hipstery, because she has a daughter who knows all about Paris, and she relied on her daughter to plan out everything. And her daughter's one of those, doing really well ladies. So she knew all the best restaurants, and we went to these cool places and nice food, nice times, I was having such a great time. Now, we did have some little glitches that came up, and like I said, it was like wrangling cats sometimes. We went to the Palace of Versailles, and Oh my goodness. One of the little ladies got lost from the group. And I'm frantic. I'm like, why did you let her get lost? What do you mean you don't know where she is? So she's over in this other part of the palace. And I had to negotiate her freedom because they wanted her to pay a whole whatever. And I'm telling these people, she's with us. She's with me. We came together on the same airplane and we all have the same museum passes. She's with me. And, they're looking like, oh, whatever. They just let her come with me. So I went through Versailles. It was amazing. One of the other ladies, she had one of those professional cameras, the one that recently died. So she liked to take the Life magazine type of photos whenever she traveled. And I had to find her. She was all through the Palace of Versailles taking her pictures, getting down in there. And the good thing about it is she had a green raincoat, little green, cute little raincoat. And that's how I could spot her in the crowd. I'm scanning around. There she is. Get back over here with us. So that would happen. And then we went to church at the place, the Sukur Kukapukak, and it was amazing. And on our way there, the people that pick the pockets over there in Europe, I know I'm not supposed to say the name. It's not politically correct to say it, but the pickpocketers, they're trying to shake the ladies down and I'm getting after them. Get away! No! So I'm protecting them from the pickpocketers. Oh my goodness. And we had dinner, top of the Eiffel Tower. We went to the Louvre. That was amazing. And I'm on my black stuff when we went to the Louvre. They wanted to go see that classical stuff. I said, you guys go. I'm going over here to the pharaohs. I want to see the Egyptian stuff. So I was getting all aggravated over there in the Egyptian section. I'm angry. I'm like, why did you steal all this stuff from Africa? Give it back. So I'm on my thing. I told you I was all into this stuff. So I'm inside getting offended. But no, I stayed over there. I did see the Mona Lisa. I was very surprised. It was very small. Very small. People are waiting in line to see this picture, and I know I'm going to offend somebody, but I was a little less than impressed, I'll say. But I ate some frog legs, escargot, had great food, and what else did we do? Oh, we went to Normandy. So Normandy, we get on the train to go to Normandy. One of the little ladies fell on the platform and she's got a whole tear on her arm, So I'm attending to her tear. I'm chucking the bags onto the train again. And it's just crazy, But we're still having a good time, right? I'm the caretaker. So we get to Normandy, we do the thing, we go to the cemetery, and it was very moving for us to go there. One of the women, she had a relative that was buried there, so it was very solemn. And the beach area, we walked along the beach. I happened to wear this beret. This is my mom's beret. I've kind of taken it over. But the ladies loved that I was wearing a beret. And I'm thinking, oh, they're impressed with something I'm doing over here. And you know what? They went into some little boutiques when we were walking around, and they bought berets, a few of them. One had a pink beret. It was real cute. I said, look at me influencing these ladies. So that was cute. But I'm telling you, I wish I had gone down the rabbit hole of the mud flood. When I went over there in 2015, I wasn't into all that, but I wish I would have been, because I would have said that we have to go to Mont Saint Michel. I didn't know about that place. Can you imagine? I'm in I'm really mad about that, okay? I'm in Normandy and I don't know about this place. Ugh. Okay, so I missed out on that, but it was still nice. We did see a lot of the old architecture. We went all around the town, and we drove all through the French countryside and the beautiful agriculture everywhere. Beautiful. So that was nice. And what else happened? Just we went to another museum, and here I am. I'm off to the anything black. I want to see all the black stuff. But I like the classic stuff too. But I was on my Black Power stuff, so I'm all on the. And they're going off to the classicals. But you know what they? It was a little. It was an exhibit about sex. Sex. And you know, for me it's just weird when it's like older people and it's like, so they were talking about back in the day in Paris when the women were prostituting themselves just to survive. It was pretty crazy. So some of the exhibits were a little racy. It reminded me when I knit with the knitterollies out in LA, the older ladies, and they were reading 50 Shades of Grey, and I had to chastise them. What are you doing reading this stuff, Mary Jane? What's going on in this world? I want you to be innocent little grandmothers. What? Anyway, I digress. But overall, the trip to Paris with the ladies, it was very whimsical, very cute. I had a great time. They didn't treat me like a kid or anything. Even, they were my seniors, my mother's age, but still, I love that we didn't have any issues. To me, I felt nothing. It was a great time. The racial stuff was in my head, and I realized, look, I know who I am, and if anybody else doesn't know who I am, that's okay. I know who I am, and I don't have any problems with my identity at this point, now that I have fully awakened to things. So I'm cool with that, but I'm hoping that we can have some reconciliation, some forgiveness on both sides. That's where I am, okay? That's when I say I'm post-race. That's where I am. I'm tired of the psyops. Again, I'd have to be, double-minded to be caught up in the race hustle, because race is a construct. It's a social construct, right? So it's about identity. It's about knowing who you are in the Most High Yah in terms of his people. And I know my bloodline. I know who I am. And so, again, I'm in my repentance era. Yeah, I should have that on a hat. I'm in my repentance era. So that's my trip to Paris with the ladies. Let me think of any other incidences other than the hijinks, the malice in the palace. What else? Finding the one lady with the green raincoat. Now she's off to heaven. And I just want to, remember that great experience with her, and just honor that memory. And also, again, just continue to not be affected by all of the psyops, all of the distractions. That's what they are. So that's it for now. I'll have another upload soon, and I'll do a live stream. Actually, I told you I wanted to do a live stream. I'll keep you posted. Look out for the details, and I'll see you soon.